Christianity is harder for men than for women. I'll share with you 4 reasons for why that is. Make sure to watch to the end because number 4 is probably like 95% of the cost. I know, this will be controversial, so make sure to use the comment section below to tell me if you experience these things too, or if you think that I'm out of my mind and completely wrong about it all. Let's go. Reason number 1, today's anti-man culture. Since the rise of feminism, culture has become more and more hostile towards biblical manhood, the man as the head of the family, the provider, the spiritual leader. And partially, I gotta admit, I understand why this has become so unpopular, because there have been men in the past, and there are still today, who are abusing that kind of position for just being selfish, just wanting power, control. I'm against that too. That's not what biblical manhood is. But society, they've kind of made up their mind already and think that anything from the Bible is just patriarchal, anti-women, anti-equality, and whatnot. You can actually lose your job, your reputation, your friends, if it comes out that you believe in traditional gender roles, that you want to be a man according to the standards and description of the Bible. It's a very hostile and sensitive culture that we're living in, and for that reason, there's not so much public talk about how to be a real man, a Christian man, not much help, not much resources. But that's exactly what we want to provide on this channel. So man, let me encourage you with the thus saith the Lord. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Let's fight this anti-man culture by showing what real men of God are. Reason number 2, sexual temptations. It's no secret that men are more primitive than women, have a greater sex drive. And in today's world, there are so many sexual temptations everywhere. And the thing is that it's getting more and more mainstream and even praised. It's not anything underground anymore. Like OnlyFans girls are admired for how much money they make. TikTok, Instagram reward teenage girls for joining these trends and putting out sensual content, basically soft porn. And I've been hearing a lot of talk about, especially among men, about body count, sexual interactions, as if it's a collectible, like Pokemon cards. What's your score? It's just become normal. And what makes it even harder is that men are pretty much on their own to fight against this. Churches, sure, may sometimes say that this or that is wrong, but where's the help? And even among Christian friends, typically, it's more common to hear sexual jokes or comments than encouragements to purity. It's becoming harder and harder to escape sexual temptations. And the thing with sexual sin is that it's one of the biggest reasons that separate men from God. And not necessarily from God's perspective, but to us. It just comes with this natural shame. You know it's not right. You feel kind of dirty. You don't just feel like, hey, let me be in the presence of a holy and pure God right now. But bros, God forgives, and he can give you the power to overcome sexual sin, to withstand all these temptations, no matter how many there are. God forgave me. He broke me free from my addictions, and he can do that for you too. I made a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully at a young woman. Don't settle for the low, degrading standard of the world. Don't be an animal. Be a man. Be pure. Reason number 3, church has become too soft. When I read about Jesus, the disciples, the first church, that was action-packed. They were strong leaders, bold, risk-taking. They didn't shy away from speaking the truth. They spoke up bluntly. They went against culture. They didn't risk being canceled. They risked being put in prison, beaten, whipped. But they didn't care. They didn't care about materialistic stuff. They cared about getting the word out. They were laser focused. They had a clear mission and lived as though people's lives depended on it, which it did. It was action. Things happened. Where are those leaders now? Where are those men now? Where's that action now? I don't know your local church. It may be different for you. But from what I have seen, the church has shifted from being this mission-minded movement of people to a consumer-feeding institution. It doesn't produce soldiers of Christ. It produces professional pew warmers that are stuck in traditions. We have committees that take half a year to make minor decisions. We have programs that are as predictable as can be. We play it safe. We're being more afraid to lose than to not gain. I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about our people, but I'd rather have the church be like the army than a hospice. We've lost this winning mindset, this expanding new ground, gaining victories, doing bold stuff that demands society's attention, shaking up the status quo, being this actual visible light in the community that people cannot get around. Men need to be given the freedom to make mistakes, to try stuff, to have faith, to believe God for big things, to have expectations placed on them, goals to strive for, holding them to high standards, to have other men to be held accountable to. Didn't Jesus say about his church that the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it? Have you ever seen an army attack with a gate? A gate is not an offensive weapon, it's a defensive structure. Hades, the enemy, is not the one who should be on the offensive. We are. And the enemy's defense system will not be able to withstand a church that's on the offense, that plays for keeps, because Jesus has already won the victory. The enemy is a defeated foe. So we should just reclaim what is God's, breaking people free from the slavery of sin, breaking them free from the prison of lies. The first church did that. They were a church of power, action. And part of the reason why we like that today is because the church is too soft. But the main reason is number 4. Men are men. Boy, am I going to get in trouble for this one, but typically, women are more relational focused and men are more work focused. There, I said it. This goes back to the Garden of Eden, right? Where God told Adam to do stuff and Eve to take care of the family. Men are wired to work, to pursue results, to solve problems, get stuff done. But here's the problem. The gospel. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about this part before, that the gospel, the good news of Christianity, is flying right in the face of the nature of man. The gospel says that sin is so destructive that it has corrupted our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, that we cannot do anything good. So, alpha males, do stuff. You can't. Oh, okay. Let me try to solve that problem. You can't. Oh, so what do I do? The solution is to let someone else do it for you. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Now, this verse has become very popular, and many people say they like it, but reality check, practically speaking, real day stuff, men are like, yeah, but I can't just not do anything. So here's what we do, right? We say we believe in Jesus. We need his forgiveness. Thank you, Jesus. Now I'll try to do better. I will work hard on trying to do what's right, getting my act together, getting to those standards of yours. And I know you say that I can't do it by myself. So sometimes I might actually remember to send up a quick prayer and ask for your help. Man, we don't need his help. We need his life. See, in our mind, it's still like we bring something to the table, Jesus adds something to it, and together we can make it work. That's not how it works because we don't have anything to bring. But to let go of that idea, that goes right against the nature of man, because we are wired to need to bring something, to want to do stuff, to contribute, to solve problems and not give up. But we need to give up our whole lives, every moment, accepting that we cannot do any good works, not even with his help. Like, Jesus, I'm just getting to 10%. Can you help me with the other 90%? No, we don't have a percent. We're not a contributing factor in the equation. We need 100% of Jesus. We just need to make space for Jesus to allow him to live his life through us while we die to self and just don't stand in the way. But practically speaking, that means when we feel this resistance coming up in us for something that Jesus wants to do through us, we're scared because it's out of our comfort zone, we're prideful, stubborn because we don't really want to do it, we're insecure about what other people think. Those are the feelings that we need to surrender, to die to self and let Jesus do it anyway. That is our job. And then all the good things that might come through us are 100% credited to Jesus and not us. Not even a little bit. That is called righteousness by faith. And that doesn't just mean being saved by faith, but living righteous by faith. To rely 100% on Jesus to do what is right through us, to resist temptations through us, to gain victory over sin through us. But even though this is probably the hardest thing for us men to accept, let alone put into practice, it's also the most rewarding when we do. And that might surprise you. See, Jesus doesn't limit our role because he just wants the center stage. He doesn't want to share the praise or applause. He just wants all the attention on him. That's not why he does it. It's because he knows how destructive sin is. Jesus wants to protect you from trying to do things that will burn you out because you simply cannot do it. Instead, Jesus wants to set you free from this pressure to try to fight a battle that you've already lost. The feelings of guilt and shame when you fail in being the man you wish you were, feeling like you let yourself down, letting others down. You know what I'm talking about. Free from the stress and anxiety to perform, to do better, and beating yourself up when it doesn't work. Jesus is okay with you not trying. Jesus is okay with you as a man not being able to solve your problem and bring him results. Imagine the miracles that accepting this will do to your mental health, to your well-being. Imagine how surrendering, letting Jesus' power work through us, will change our marriages, our families, our friend groups, our local churches and communities. And let me tell you, man, seeing Jesus work through you is much more exciting than you trying to live your best. Because Jesus, he's the most awesome person who ever lived, and he wants to live his life through you. Now, I can promise you, that's an adventure you don't want to stand in the way for. So man up and give up. Dare to surrender. But that is easier to do with the help of other men. So check out this video to see how we as a community of Christian men want to be that support group for each other. Bro out.